Today we'll be problem solving with angles. We're going to do 3 different types of problems. We're going to find tricky angles on a protractor, mainly that don't pass through 0. We'll draw angles on a protractor, and we'll find unknown angles. So when we're finding tricky angles, a lot of the times you can have a bunch of different rays on the same protractor. And just like we did in the last video, this is why it's going to be important to get your highlighter and highlight the letters. So when I'm finding angle MAO, I'm going to start at M and trace the angle. Okay, M, I go to A, our vertex, and then go to O. Now, a good strategy for this is to find where ray M and O are both on the protractor and then subtract them. And because what that'll do is ray O, we're going to use the outside numbers every time. If we find what ray M is and then take away the part that's O, what it'll do is it'll give us this little inside part here, and that'll be MAO. So if we were to label these, ray M I can see is 1 past 90. You have to remember which way is counting up and which way is counting down. We're using the outside numbers, so counting up is going to be going left to right. So this angle, or this ray M, is at 91 degrees. So I'll write that in here. Angle, or ray O, I'm looking, here's 60. I can count the little ticks. It's going to be at 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. So I'm going to label ray O, 65. Now, if I want to find that middle part, that means I need to do 91 degrees minus 65, and it'll give me the inside. Okay, so I got to regroup. Take 1, give 10. 11 minus 5 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. So angle MAO is 26 degrees. Now, another way that you can find this angle would just be to count, right? I can count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26. And so either way, we should get the same answer. Let's try another one. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause it, rewind, watch again. So now we'll do angle RAE. I'm going to get my highlighter and trace from RAE. Now ignore this other E over here. It's just to spell geometry and be cute, but it's not actually on the protractor. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use the outside numbers, and I'm going to write what each ray is and then subtract. So ray E, I see it's 2 less than 40. Now I could count up, but I think it'll be a little easier if I count down, because I know 40 minus 2 would be 39, 38. So I'm going to write this is 38 degrees. That's ray E. Ray R is way farther around the protractor, all the way over here. And I can see, I could count by tens, or I can just jump to, I see 170 is right here. It's one more, so it's going to be 171. Go ahead and subtract that. I got 133 degrees. Now, does that make sense? Is that an obtuse angle? Yes. So angle RAE, angle ray, is 133 degrees. And if I were to count from E all the way to R, I would get 133 as well. Okay, angle, get my highlighter back out, EAO. So I'm going to trace angle EAO. Okay, I can already see this is going to be an acute angle. So if I don't get a number that's in acute, I probably made a mistake. I already labeled these 2 points, so that'll be super easy for me. I know that ray E, we said, was 38 degrees. Ray O was 65. Now, to find this middle part right here, I can either count or I can subtract. So I'm going to do 65 minus 38. So angle EAO is 27 degrees. Try angle MAT or MAT by yourself. Pause here and play to check. When I solved for MAT, I subtracted 125 minus 91 and got 34 degrees. Now we'll be drawing angles. When you're drawing angles and seeing questions, a lot of the times you'll have multiple rays on the same protractor, just like we did the last time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to jump by 10s first and then by 5s and make these different angles. So I'll do each one in a different color. Angle CAB or CAB. What I need to do is make a ray from point C to point A so that I now have angle CAB. Now I'm just going to tell you that these are to the nearest 5. If you had one on in front of you, you could get really specific and maybe do in between those, but we're just going to go to the nearest 5. So to figure out what angle CAB is, I could do 2 things. I could figure out where ray C is and where ray B is, and then subtract like we did on the last slide, or I can just count. So I'm just going to count 10, 20, 30, 40, 45. Angle DAB, we got to figure out what that is. So I'll get a different color and I'm going to draw a line, a ray from A to D. So I'm creating this ray here and trying to figure out what is this angle? What is this inside part? Remember that an angle is the inside part measured in degrees. So then I'm just going to count the degrees. 10, 20, 30, 35 degrees. So they told us angle DAB is 35 degrees. Next, angle EAB. E, trace that to A, and then B. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to count how many degrees are inside of here. You could start at the E or start at B. I'm going to start here because it counts up. 10, 20, 30, 35. All right, so we've got 2 angles that are 35 degrees. Last one, I've got angle FAB or FAB. So I'm going to create this ray and then count 10, 20, 30, 30, 40, 50. So angle FAB is 50 degrees. Finding unknown angles. Really what this is going to be is you're going to be given 2 adjacent or neighbor angles, and then it's going to be a part whole. So the biggest part is labeling the angles. Angle MAR has a value of 80 degrees. I'm going to trace that and label it. MAR, this whole thing here is 80. Angle MAT is 34 degrees. Now I'm going to trace that, MAT. So I know this part in here is 34. Let's pause for a second and go to our part whole because we're trying to figure out this angle here. This is very similar to a part whole. Our whole, the 2 angles together, or the 2 parts together, is 80. So I can write that where our total would go. One part, angle MAT, is 34 degrees. I need to solve for the other part. If I know a total and one part, What do I do to solve it? I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to do 80 minus 34, and that's going to give me what angle TAR is. When I subtract, I get 46 degrees. Now I can check that by adding my two parts and seeing if I get 80. And I do. Let's try another one. Angle HJK is a right angle. Okay, that's important. That means it's 90 degrees. So I'm going to highlight that and label it HJK. So this part is 90. Angle KJL has a value of 20. So I'm going to highlight that. KJL, really good highlight there, Miss Hershey, is 20 degrees. What is the value of angle HJL? So the whole thing. Let's fill in what we know to our part whole. I know one part was 90. What else do I know? I know the other part is 20. Do I know the total? No, that's what I'm solving for. So that would be my question mark. Now, if we have a part whole where we know both parts but not the total, what do we do to solve that? We're going to join numbers. So we're going to put them together and add them. 90 plus 20. This is going to be 0. 9 plus 2 is 11. So altogether, the value of angle HJL is equal to 110 degrees. Angle BAE is a straight angle. Okay, now this means we need to know what a straight angle is. A straight angle is 180 degrees. Okay, that's a straight line. It's a whole protractor. Angle CAE, trace that, CAE, and make sure you're labeling pictures. You need to be drawing these and labeling them, or it's going to be really, really tough, is 107. What is the value of angle BAC? So if we know the whole thing both together is 180, we know one part is 107, what is this part over here? Let's fill in our part whole. I'm solving for one side. I know the other side is 107, and I know the total is 180. So how do I solve that? If I know the total in one part, that means I subtract. I subtracted and got 73 degrees. Now, I just want to think, is that reasonable? So would 70 plus 100 be close to 180? Yes. I can also add 73 and 107 and see if I get 180 to check my work. Angle BAD is a right angle. So I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to label it. I know a right angle is 90 degrees. I can also put that little square in the corner. That's a mathematician symbol for 90 degrees. I know angle BAC is 58 degrees. So I'm going to highlight that. BAC, it's really important that you're tracing these angles and drawing them. What is the measure of angle CAD? So if I know the total of both of these adjacent or neighbor angles is 90, I know one part is 58. What is the other part? So I'm going to fill in my part whole. The total is 90. One part is 58. What is the other? When I know the total and just a part, that means I subtract. And I got 32 degrees. All right, last one, exit ticket. Angle GAL is a straight angle. What is the measure of EAL? Pause and play for the answer. I filled in my information. The total is 180 and a part is 38. 180 minus 38 is 142.